Let's talk about retail real estate. We see retail real estate every day. We go in retail buildings all the time, but do we know how many different types of retail there really are? In this video, we're gonna break down the difference between each and why it matters. I'm Brandon Avadiki and I'm the founder of Aspire Commercial, a commercial real estate brokerage and property management firm based in Houston, Texas. We've got about 25 people on our team. I started the company in 2023 and we've since done over 350 transactions and we're just getting started. So let's get into the different types of retail real estate. And let's start by defining what retail real estate is. Retail means your customer is coming into the space to buy the product or service. And so whether you're selling groceries or other products that your customers buy and walk out with, or you're providing a service like a nail salon, or you're giving massages, or your customer's coming in to get a service, retail means the customer is coming in. So they're not buying online and getting the product shipped from a warehouse, they're coming in the space. And so the first type of retail real estate we're gonna cover is strip centers. You see these everywhere. They're the small retail centers that are usually on the side of the road, often just one row of shops with parking out front, sometimes multiple individual buildings on one site with shared parking. They're usually in a straight line or an L shape or a U shape, and strip centers typically have businesses like nail salons, dry cleaners, hair salons, local restaurants, cell phone stores, etc. Sometimes there's big national chains in strip centers, but normally they're your local mom and pop tenants that serve the neighborhood. They're relatively small and low maintenance, but they rely heavily on location and visibility. If the corner is great, it works, but if traffic patterns change, it can really be tough on a strip center. Next are neighborhood centers. These are a step up from strip centers, both in size and tenant mix. They're designed to serve the day-to-day needs of the local community. Think grocery stores, think gyms, think doctor's offices, and they're almost always anchored by a full-service grocery store, which is a big deal because that grocery store is the anchor that helps drive traffic to the rest of the tenants at the center. And people may come to a grocery-anchored center several times a week for different products and services. Other than the anchor grocery store, you're typically going to see restaurants, gyms, dental offices, things like that. These centers typically range from 30,000 to 100,000 square feet in size, but that can vary. And these are some of the most attractive retail centers to own because they're considered internet resilient and get consistent use. Grocery stores are hard to replace online, and people still want to touch produce and grab last minute items. And that foot traffic is valuable both to the grocery store itself and to the other tenants at the center. Now let's talk about power centers. These are large shopping centers anchored by big tenants that are typically national retailers. You'll typically see names like Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, Best Buy, PetSmart, Marshalls, Ross, and in between these big box tenants, you'll typically see some inline retail or some out parcel pads with companies like Chipotle, Starbucks, or bank branches. These centers have high visibility and they attract lots of shoppers, but they're more exposed to changes in the national retail climate. If a national chain closes 200 stores and your location is one of them, a power center can take a real hit. Because unlike strip centers where any given 1,000 foot, 3,000 foot space can appeal to a wide variety of uses, there's not as many big box tenants, and so if you lose a 40, 50,000 foot tenant, it could be really difficult to backfill. But for now, these remain strong performers in high traffic corridors, and in good locations, they continue to perform very well. Next, let's talk about lifestyle centers. These are basically modern outdoor malls. You'll typically see them in higher income suburbs. They're built to feel like a walkable downtown environment, but they're located out in the suburbs. You're likely to see tenants like Lululemon, Apple Store, Sephora, nice sit-down restaurants, upscale coffee shops, entertainment like movie theaters or game lounges. It feels like a curated experience. It's a bit fancier and a lot more expensive to build and operate. Given these are high-end properties that command high rents, they only work in areas where consumers that live nearby have a lot of disposable income to spend. If foot traffic drops or the neighborhood changes, lifestyle centers can really struggle, but when they're done right and in the right location, these can be powerful assets. They're the places that you love going, that you go over and over again, and they're the places that when people are coming in from out of town, you tell them, we've got to go check out this development. In Houston, where I live, I love City Center. center. It's a lifestyle center with lots of different uses and great tenants, and it's a really cool place to go eat dinner on a Friday night with the family. There's a lawn where kids can run around, just a really cool environment. And so if you're telling your friends that are in town about a retail destination, chances are it's a lifestyle center. Next, let's talk about everybody's favorite, malls. What used to be the crown jewel of retail is now struggling very badly. Malls typically have multiple anchor tenants like Macy's, Nordstrom's, or Dillard's, and then rows of inline shops on the inside. E-commerce has hit malls hard. Many of the anchors of malls have pulled back or shut down entirely, and foot traffic in malls has declined drastically. And when the anchors of malls go, the smaller tenants usually don't last long either. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still some malls that are thriving in super high-end areas with a great tenant mix, but many malls, especially malls located in lower income areas, are gone or on their way to being gone and being redeveloped into other uses: office, residential, healthcare, education facilities. Malls are difficult to repurpose given how they're built out, but once a property sells for cheap enough, real estate developers will figure out what to do with it. And real quick, we'll hit on urban retail or street level retail. This is space that's on the ground floor of an apartment building or an office tower or a hotel. Sometimes the city will require retail to be on the first floor of an apartment building, for an example. And so they'll tell the developer, if you want approval to build this apartment building, you're going to have to put some retail at the bottom. And this can be problematic because the developer will put retail because the city made them, but there might not be a use that will work in that development. And so you'll see a lot of these be vacant, or you'll see a lot of them, the tenants will rotate in and out because the space was built because the developer was forced to build rather than there being a true market purpose. The developer just wanted to build that multifamily building, and so they put a retail space at the bottom to appease the city to get their permit. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes these work out well, but this is just kind of a unique product type within retail that I wanted to hit on really quick. So next time someone tells you that they own retail, you've got to ask them what kind, because a strip center with 5 local tenants is a completely different investment than a power center anchored by Target or an open air lifestyle center in a wealthy suburb where you go to buy your next MacBook. They have different tenants, they have different economics, and they have different risk and return profiles. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. We're constantly putting out real estate and business content. Please send this video to anyone that may be interested in learning more about real estate, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to learn about next. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.